Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Noah Unleashed. If you're new here, hi. I'm Melball. I like watching Japanese wrestling, and this is Noah Unleashed, a weekly news and review show where I talk about my favorite Japanese wrestling company, Pro Wrestling Noah. If you're not new here, welcome back to the glorious, glorious chaos. That is your Melball. I am literally recording now the third show in a row for things that I'm doing right now. It's been a chaotic month with rehearsals, with, other things, my work, my job, everything going on. I'm finally sitting down now on the 22nd to record the Sunny Voyage show from October 21st. But before we talk about the amazing show that we got to take in here today, I need you guys to like the video, subscribe to OLE, and turn on notifications to be alerted every time we drop a new video. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. We're going to start off match number 1. I'm in a funny mood right now. Match number 1, tag team match featuring Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf, Los Golpeadores, taking on Atsushi Kotoge and not Hajime Ohara, he's later, Alejandro. Which I thought was an odd combination, because why would we mess up? Why would we separate All Rebellion? And why would we separate Ohara and Kotoge? They're performing so well together. Anyway, I digress. Getting into it, Kotoge congratulating Dragonbane and getting the crowd to chant for him, which I appreciated, before trying to pin him with a quick pin. That Kotoge, sneaky little devil. A Rana and a jumping high kick to send Kotoge scrambling to the corner, though. Alpha Wolf, suspiciously aggressive with the handshake, but Alejandro, ever trusting, still goes in and does it anyway, and blocks the first nom attempt of the match, which. Who does that? How do you do that? You should probably let everyone else know, because, man, especially the Spanish. Let those Spanish guys know how to block that. Alejandro hitting a jumping high kick, followed by a shoulder to the gut and a crossbody attempt, but Alpha Wolf catches him and pulls him up into a delayed suplex and does a squat, with Alejandro still up in the air. But this allows Alejandro to recover enough to escape out of the back and hit a handspring arm drag. Alejandro with a nom on Alpha Wolf. What? I didn't include that in the nom count, but yo, what? It's the first time I ever saw that. I definitely popped for that. So, Dragon Bane tripping Alejandro, Alpha Wolf hitting a low-angle dropkick, and then getting into the table position for Dragon Bane to jump off of and knock Kotoge off of the apron. Alpha Wolf backing Kotoge into the corner, Kotoge begging, please, no, no. He knew what was coming. To no avail. And Alpha Wolf, itadakimasu, and we get our first nom of the match. Again, not sitting right, though. It's interesting. After having the Spanish meat, the Japanese meat isn't sitting so right, because we've seen Kotoge get nom-nommed a few times. Alpha Wolf never reacted like that. Maybe he's got some food poisoning. Interesting. Anyway, Kotoge catches Los Golpeadores, both of them, in his little choke on the ropes, and then hits Alpha Wolf with the Maxim Cutter. Our second nom of the match comes with Kotoge going for his running knee to the face, but Alpha Wolf catches it and feasts on the knee. And again, it doesn't seem to sit right, and it distracts him long enough for Kotoge to hit a headbutt. So the finish here, you guys, comes with the Spanish Fly by Dragon Bane on Alejandro for 2, because Kotoge comes in, but Kotoge then eats a solid thrust kick from Alpha Wolf and gets tossed to the outside, takes a plancha from Alpha Wolf. Meanwhile, Dragon Bane hits a shooting star press on Alejandro for the win. Los Golpeadores. They're so talented, so good. The effortlessness of which that they move around and do the things that they do without even having to yell or communicate. They just look at each other and know, is incredible, especially when both of them are masked. Utterly incredible. We got another nom nom on Kotoge on the outside post match, as well as Dragon Bane, as well as the ref. It's just that meat seeming to sit well, like better with Alpha Wolf at this point. Total count was 4 afterwards. I'm happy with this. it was a fun opener. It got everyone super excited, got the rest of the crowd hyped, especially going into the next match where we had a very interesting mix of styles in there. It really set up a really great show for the rest of the night. So from here, we're going to go into match number 2, which was a 6-man tag team match featuring the team of Shuhei Taniguchi, Eita, and Shuji Kondo, taking on the team of Muhammad Yone, Hajime Ohara, and Black Mensore. And this was a very fun match. It just had a very interesting story being told in this that I wanted to briefly touch on as we go throughout the match here. So, new do for Shuji Kondo with the black and yellow kind of divide on there. I like it because he's been rocking the gray. I think it started as a platinum blonde, but it just kind of turned into this purpley gray, which I like purple, but when it fades, it kind of looks just greeny gray. He'd been rocking the gray do for quite a bit, and it kind of aged him a bit. With this new kind of solid black and yellow do, it definitely kind of makes him look a little bit younger, which I appreciate, and it matches his gear perfectly. And that being said, I feel like he has dethroned Royce Isaac as Senior Fringe because he has fringe on everything. Maybe we just got to get more fringe on Royce Isaacs. I don't know. So, getting into the match here, you guys. Taniguchi and Yone having some fun, just kind of flexing off on each other, flexing their power on each other, doing shoulder tackles. Taniguchi not fazed by the disco taunt of Yone and just runs him right down. Eita and Ohara having a fun little reversal moment when they get in. Eita eventually grabbing a wrist lock and refusing to let go, which I appreciate. Ohara eventually rolls through and sweeps the legs of Eita and then ties him up and flips him over into a bow and arrow. Haha! Loving these bow and arrows. Loving seeing them and getting so many in so many nights. Love it. So, Mensore wants Kondo, and he gets him, and I feel like he regretted his life choice after this. So, Kondo chopping Mensore, but Mensore hits a Rana and a Za taunt before Kondo hits, I think it was a Uranagi? It's kind of like that odd kind of like spearing Uranagi that, what is his name? Not Shingo. The Yudo. Yudo is the name. Why am I forgetting his name right now? He's in New Japan. Gene Blast. Why can I not think of the name right now? I'm going to put it here. I know who it is. Shoot. Move on, Melissa. You're having a brain fart right now. So anyway, it looks like that kind of Gene Blast thing. So it's almost like a spear and a Uranagi at the same time. Just kind of forces him down, but also kind of catches him at the waist. Very, very interesting move there. But anyway, moving on from here, now that I've lost my spot, there it is. Kondo hits the Uranagi. Okay, so the force that Kondo can get behind himself in such a short space is insane. So he wasn't even halfway across the ring. He was maybe a third. Like, he was definitely closer than halfway anyway, at Mensore in the corner. But the force in which he hits his lariat and like the speed that he just suddenly like goes into knocked the wind out of Mensore so harshly that when Kondo tagged out, to Eita. Eita couldn't get Mensore back to his feet. He ended up tagging back out to Kondo, and Kondo had to come back in and get Mensore up onto his feet. But like the force, the strength that he can get, very impressive. Very, very scary impressive. Mensore struggling to get up after taking it, but then when he does, he blocks the second lariat run-in and hits a Rana on Kondo. So Yone and Taniguchi colliding with lariats and strikes and headbutts, but then Taniguchi hits a really solid clothesline. So a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Ohara on Eita, and then these two launch into a crazy moment where there's just reversing of everything, including Ohara's muy bien, which was chaos. Glorious, glorious chaos at its finest. I loved it. So from here, we get a za eye poke and chops by Mensore, followed by an abdominal stretch on Kondo, which was the beginning of the downfall of poor Mensore, because at this point, you can tell by how the strong force in which Kondo ran in on Mensore earlier in the match that he was not too happy to be dealing with Mensore. So then from here, we get an avalanche brainbuster from Kondo on Mensore, and the rest of the match is just Mensore pissing off Kondo, just doing his absolute most, avoiding things, hitting eye pokes, za strikes, za taunts. It was just, you could see the thermometer of in Kondo's head just going up, 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 up. The finish comes with Kondo nailing Mensore with a lariat for 2. Mensore reverses the follow-up into a head scissors pin. And then Kondo hits the ropes, hitting an inside-out lariat on Mensore for the win. The crowd, though, on absolute fire, particularly for Mensore. Mensore is a huge crowd favorite, and like, I'm quite on the Mensore train as well, but this felt a little bit like punishment. A little bit like punishment for poor Mensore here. Mensore also in the Noah Grand Prix this year. Shuji Kondo also in the Noah Grand Prix. We're going to see how that goes. We're going to see how that goes for these guys, and we're going to have a separate video out for you on OLE soon, where I'm going to be breaking down, running down, talking about the Grand Prix, all the participants in it, and making my predictions on who I think is going to win that bad boy. But from here, we're going to go into match number 3, which was a singles match between Manabu Soya and Asuka. And immediately I looked at this and went, why though? That's so unfair to Asuka. That being said, though, I actually felt this was a phenomenal match for Asuka, because even though he is considered a little bit smaller of a guy, the ability he has to kind of bob and weave his way out of situations is really, really, really impressive. And he held his own pretty well against Soya in this match. So let's get into it. Soya, again, coming out decked out in Jonitsu gear. He's got the Daiki Inaba headband. He's got the Yohei handkerchief. I can't remember if he had the towel, but he should, because damn it, Kikuchi, we can't let you go yet. So, getting into the match here, Soya Jonitsu to the child also. I'm on the apron. I absolutely loved it because the kid Jonitsu'd right back, and it was adorable. Asuka trying to knock Soya down with drop kicks, but Soya is just not going down, so he ends up hitting him with a springboard back elbow. Asuka wrist lock and wrenching on the arm before transitioning into an elbow lock, but Soya just keeps Jonitsuing his way through it, and then hits a scoop slam on Asuka. Soya chopping Asuka off of his feet while Asuka's chops are barely affecting the Passion Captain. A back elbow and Passion shake by Soya on Asuka. There was a lariat bulldog combo by Soya. and Asuka tripping Soya with the tabletop and then scrambling out to the apron and hitting a drop kick. Tope suicida by Asuka, and then a top rope head chop, so like Mongolian chop by Asuka for 2. Soya catches Asuka on the springboard crossbody attempt and hits a power slam for 2. And there was a Death Valley driver also by Soya for 2. The finish here, you guys, comes with Soya hitting a huge lariat off the ropes, then finally hitting his corner lariat from hell out of the corner for the win on Asuka. For the win on Asuka. This was a really fun match. I felt that Asuka did really, really well to kind of hold his own against the significantly larger Soya, and Soya wasn't unnecessarily rough either. Like he was doing everything. Like this match was perfect for a junior and heavy, and like I would actually say like the heavier side of heavy and the more junior side of a junior. The combination of styles ended up working really, really well together. You can tell the education of Soya is just so good, but also the education and uniqueness of Asuka that just combined so well together. So, match number 4 here is a tag team match featuring the combination Team 2000 X Masa Kitamiya and Tadasuke Yoshitatsu, taking on the team of Tetsuya Endo and Daiki Odashima. Kitamiya, not messing with the crowd. Very serious, very game on. Okay. We can appreciate that. Endo showing the crowd. What did I write here? Oh, Endo showing off to the crowd before realizing Kitamiya is behind him, and then he turns back around, mocks the laugh of Kitamiya, which pisses Kitamiya off. He grabs him in a waist lock, but is reversed into a body press, and then a low angle drop kick attack by Endo. But Kitamiya avoids and attempts an elbow drop, but Endo moves and then lands a standing moonsault. The production for this match was so good, but the showmanship in this one was also good. I kind of felt like this was a serious match with like hints of clowning in it, with Endo especially kind of clowning at Kitamiya, making fun of his new laugh in the ring where he just kind of laughs off people's moves. It was a really fun match. So Odashima wrestling very, very amateur style, but then transitioning into a junior pace, with Odashima hitting a Rana, a dropkick, and a head spring kip up on Tadasuke. They're a double team by Endo and Odashima, where they run in on Tadasuke in the corner. Endo yeets Odashima into a leg drop on Tadasuke, and they then attempt their backflip taunt, but Kitamiya grabs their hair and does a meeting of the minds, and then goes to follow up with a double lariat, but they duck it and hit drop kicks on Kitamiya, and then finally do their dropkick backflip taunt, but Tadasuke lying in wait, and he gives them both nut shots. And then Kitamiya follows up with that double lariat. I love this team, but they're so dastardly sometimes. So, Odashima trying to strike Kitamiya, but it's like just hitting a wall. More functional anyway. Kitamiya laughs it off and then hits that waist lock backbreaker for 2. So Endo becomes the king of creating unfortunate circumstances for Team 2000X, moving and almost causing a collision between Kitamiya and Tadasuke, but then Kitamiya ducks the chop from Endo, forcing him to chop Tadasuke instead. It should also be noted at this point, he apologized. Tetsuya Endo apologized to Tadasuke, his opponent, for chopping him. Kiyomiya then hits a right and sends Endo into the corner, but Endo kicks off of him on the run-in and then hits a high angle kick and a springboard elbow that was meant for Kiyomiya, ends up hitting Tadasuke instead. Again, he looked like he went to apologize to him, but then Endo sweeps the legs of Kiyomiya, making him unintentionally senton Tadasuke before laughing like Kiyomiya. Again, I'm having troubles with English right now. When the sun goes down and I forget to speak. Da, 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 da. Okay. Odashima hitting his signature big air crossbody on Kiyomiya, but Kiyomiya is able to block the gut wrench suplex follow-up. So the finish here comes. Odashima going for a lariat, but Kiyomiya hits one of his own, followed by the pile driver for 2 and only 2 because Kiyomiya does lift the head of Odashima, feeding him right into that stranglehold, and Odashima is forced to tap out. Post-match, Kiyomiya taking the mic. I have no idea what he said. The team booed, or the crowd booed. The team celebrated. Pomp and circumstance. He's the chairman. Ha 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 ha. I can't do the laugh. I'm not good at evil. But this was a very fun match. I love seeing this combination of Tetsuya Endo and Daiki Odashima. I still want to see Endo teaming up with HAYATA and Ulka Sasaki. That being said, would not be averse to seeing Daga and Odashima join that little faction as well, because could you imagine the talent that would just radiate off of that? Anyway, fantasy football Melball, fantasy wrestling Melball? Something like that. Anyway, we're going to go into match number 5, which was a 6-man tag team match featuring Naomichi, Marufuji, Kenoh, and Junta Miyawaki, taking on the combination team of All Rebellion, Haru Toki, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Kai Fujimura. I took a lot of notes for this match. I'm going to try to power through it as quickly as I can because there was a lot to unpack in the main event, also a lot to unpack. There's an interesting story kind of unfolding in this match that kind of took center stage, and it didn't involve Marufuji or Kenoh. They were kind of like, there was a story happening there, and I'm going to talk about it as well, but the main story on display in this match is the ever-existing tension between Junta Miyawaki and Kai Fujimura. So, Miyawaki, though, back to his old self, going into the crowd, saying hi to the little ones, makes me happy to see. This, again, still obvious tension with Fujimura before the bell goes. They're in each other's faces. A singles match wasn't enough. One singles match wasn't enough. Now these guys are kind of looking at the numbers going, okay, we need to make some adjustments here. I am equal parts excited for that, but also concerned. Both of these guys are going to feel like they have something to prove. They kind of came up around the same time. I'm interested to see what happens with this because, boy, howdy, were these guys hitting hard in this match. Let's get into it. So, when the bell goes, Fujimura and Miyawaki immediately start trading strikes and reversals before Fujimura hits an arm dragon dropkick combo, sending Miyawaki to the outside, allowing Fujimura to hit a plancha. There's a scoop slam by Harutoki on Miyawaki, which looked really great. Kiyomiya in with Miyawaki, exchanging strikes until Miyawaki just runs off and boots Fujimura on the apron. Miyawaki then proceeds to start yelling at Fujimura, who gets back up on the apron, and him and Miyawaki just start trading strikes over top of the rope, much to the confusion of Kiyomiya, who's just kind of standing there behind him like, well, this is awkward. At one point in time, Miyawaki does turn around, though, acknowledges that he's there, and Kiyomiya uppercuts him for his acknowledgement. So, Fujimura in punishing Miyawaki, these guys, until he hits a thrust kick and what I called a buckleplex, because he pretty much did a suplex and just yeeted Miyawaki into the buckles, bringing Marufuji and Kenoh in to knock Kiyomiya and Harutoki off the apron. And so begins the adventure into the crowd. Marufuji grabbing, I think it was Harutoki, and Kenoh grabbing Kaito Kiyomiya, and they just kind of drug these guys up into the balcony and did a meeting of the minds in one of the rows behind all of the spectators before making their way back to the ring. Once they were kind of in that, Miyawaki started, so Miyawaki kind of stopped working at that point in the ring. He did have Fujimura in a cravat at this point, but the cravat lock allowed the audience to pay attention to what was happening in the audience. And once that kind of ended, Miyawaki started feeding knee shots to Fujimura before hitting a neck snap and a low-angle dropkick. Double team suplex by Marufuji and Kenoh before Marufuji hits that little face wipe on the forehead of Fujimura. Again, the singles match between Fujimura and Miyawaki, clearly not enough. These guys clearly have more tension that they need to work out, and I would love to see it get worked out again. Please. So they were going out of their way throughout the match to combat each other, as noted earlier with the Kiyomiya situation. It was to the detriment of their teams at time, and the teams weren't really doing anything to kind of curb it because they know, just let them fight it out. At this point in time, though, they're in Miyawaki's team corner, so Fujimura turns around and eats a kick from Kenoh. Knife edge chops from Marufuji on Fujimura, followed by a back elbow, but Fujimura reverses the Irish whip follow-up into a backslide and a pretty desperate-looking thrust kick. Kiyomiya with forearms and drop kicks for literally everyone, and of course, for good measure, a kip up, because gotta show off the ace. Signature kicks from Marufuji, but Kiyomiya interrupts one with an uppercut and then blocks the next one to hit a dragon screw leg whip. Kiyomiya tricking Marufuji into the corner to hit a cross body. The flipping forearm by Harutoki, followed by the crossbody on Kenoh, looked great. Gotta love that, and a signature of his. Marufuji hitting a hook kick on Harutoki, who then gets a German suplex from Kenoh. There is a lariat and double stomp combo by Marufuji and Kenoh on Kiyomiya. There's a snapdragon suplex by Kenoh on Harutoki. Looks so good. Miyawaki, Fujimura, just a broken record with these two, striking the shit out of each other. Just broken record with these two. This is the story here. This was the main story in this match, was these two don't like each other. They've got some issues that they need to work out. And again, I am here for it. I am here for it. I feel like the same way I need Charles Dempsey and Ulka Sasaki one-on-one in my veins, I need Miyawaki and Fujimura again in my veins. Please make it happen. So, okay, where were we here? Miyawaki, Fujimura, striking the crap out of each other. Story here. And they captivated the crowd with this story. And every time they got in, the crowd became electric again. Miyawaki gaining momentum and hitting that back elbow that he does. And they're hitting harder. They're running faster. They're doing the absolute most. And it's almost reckless how much they hate each other. And I love the story that is actually coming out of it. So Fujimura hitting a dragon DDT on Miyawaki, but Miyawaki coming back and hitting a tornado DDT on Fujimura. And then Kiyomiya. Oh, okay. So Miyawaki hits a tornado DDT to Fujimura, but he jumps, like he bounces off the chest of Kiyomiya to hit the tornado DDT, and then he hits the same thing on Kiyomiya. He does a tornado DDT, but he does it off of Harutoki, and then hits Harutoki with a DDT just to end things and keep things nice and flush, because he's run out of chests. He's just run out of chests. So the finish comes. Miyawaki trying for the Sunshine Driver, but Fujimura is able to kind of wiggle his way out and is able to catch Miyawaki in an arm drag and then rolls him into his like really cool modified inside cradle pin for the win. Miyawaki not happy. Fujimura elated. All Rebellion elated. Kenoh, Marufuji, they don't particularly care. They did good. And that's the other story in this. Marufuji and Kenoh are good. They're just simply good. There's no clowning happening. Marufuji's not fisting. He's not messing with Kenoh. They're working as well as Los Golpeadores. What is happening right now? There's an odd parallel universe colliding and weird things are happening. But yeah, again, Miyawaki, Fujimura, the tension still remains. We need another singles match between these two. But man, the lack of combustion that was happening between Marufuji and Kenoh, it leads me even further to believe this could be a good setup for them to potentially be having a GHC Tag Team Championship match. But again, I am not ready to see Masa Kitamiya and Takashi Sugiura not be champions yet. I would love to see the match. But I don't want to see Team 2000X lose too much too soon, because then we have the situation like with Hate or Oedo Tai in Stardom, where they start to feel like they lose credibility because they keep losing the important Tante stuff. So from here, we're going to go into match number 6, which is a 6-man tag team match, which is the team of Kenta, Ulka Sasaki, and Hayata, taking on the team of Yoshiki Inamura, Harlem Lewis, and Charlie Dempsey. Team Noah versus Team WWE NXT. Let's freaking go. Sportsmanship start. Sort of. For Inamura and Kenta, we get a handshake. I'm happy with it. Kenta starting with kicks and Inamura just begging for them, and he gets them. But the last kick, Inamura catches and delivers a wicked chop, knocking the champion off his feet. Kenta smartly getting out of dodge of the incoming Inamura and tags out, goes to, gets out and walks around to his corner, gets back in the ring, tags out smartly. Dempsey putting Hayata in a knee-lock bridge. I have knee-lock bridging necklock, because it didn't quite look like a cravat, but it looked like it wanted to be. But it wasn't. It still looked really heckin' cool, and it speaks again to my lack of ability to call technical submissions and his ability to do them and create such crazy cool looking ish. So going from here, okay. Kenta smartly did. Okay. Gets him into this weird looking headlock, but Dempsey, Hayata does scramble to get out of it, but Dempsey does landlock Hayata again. The ground is not where Hayata likes to be. Hayata likes to be up and moving around. So very, very smart of Dempsey to bring him down. Locks up the legs and face with what I thought looked like a modified STF, which Dempsey then transitions into, you guessed it, a bow and arrow, and I love these things. I love seeing them so much. Sasaki in with Lewis, showing some of the subtle charisma he's kind of been showing for the last couple of months, which I like. Smirking at Lewis when Lewis tries to intimidate him. There was a headlock takeover by Lewis, but Sasaki immediately locks in a head scissors, and he won't let Lewis escape. He's trying to hip his way out of that. Sasaki's just not letting him. Lewis does transition into what I thought looked like an Indian deathlock, and begins trading strikes with Sasaki, which is a dangerous game to play. With Ulka Sasaki, given his background, man, you've got to be careful with that. He's going to land some good ones on you. So, yeah, okay, where I lost my spot again. Okay, Lewis tossing Sasaki to the outside, and Hayata comes in to help, but also gets just yeet from the outside ramp back into the ring. It was insane. Sasaki toe holds Lewis into the second turnbuckle and then wraps the knee around the post while Kenta steals his bandana and starts parading around with it on. It went well with the outfit. It matched the outfit, and Kenta, ever the fashionista, has to be showing off. So the left arm of Lewis became the target after this. Everyone just kind of picking that apart. Take away the power. Smart move, but probably should have taken out the leg instead. Because once that guy gets moving, all he needs to do is throw out the limb. So, Sasaki holding Lewis in an abdominal stretch while Hayata drop kicks him. Very, very smart. Kenta locking on a single leg crab, but Inamura coming in and chopping Kenta out of it. Very similar to how their last introduction together kind of went, with Kenta coming in to break up the hold that Inamura had. So Lewis striking Kenta, and over time he turns around and strikes Inamura on the apron. So Lewis is legal, Kenta is legal. But much like in the situation with Miyawaki and Fujimura, Kenta distracted by Inamura on the apron, starts to piss off Inamura. And I kind of love the story that it's telling, because usually Kenta has been riding the face side of the fence since coming to Pro Wrestling Noah. I like seeing the step over into the heel tendencies. At one point, when Kenta does go for one of those little cheap shots, though, Inamura does catch him and calls in Lewis, but Kenta is actually able to move out of the way, and Lewis ends up knocking Inamura off of the apron instead. There's belly-to-belly suplexes for everybody on Team Noah by Inamura. Dempsey comes in, reversing what I thought was a Kimura lock into a Boston Crab, but Sasaki able to power through and tries to get into his signature armbar, but Dempsey rolls backwards and transitions into a release German suplex, but then Sasaki powers through that to hit a single leg dropkick. Dempsey and Sasaki are somebody I need to see in a singles match before Dempsey goes back to NXT. I need to see that. Not in a tag capacity. I need to see it in a one-on-one, please. Please. So from here, Dempsey hits a knee strike to the face, followed by a double underhook suplex into a bridge for 2. There's rapid strikes by Lewis on Hayata, followed by an explosive lariat and strike, and another huge lariat before hitting a jackhammer for 2. There's a hit and run by Inamura on Hayata, sending him flying into the buckles. And then Inamura cheap shots Kenta, because that's the story with these two. And then hits a hit and run on Sasaki before Hayata tries a tornado DDT. But something kind of goes a little weird. And when he tries a second attempt for it, Inamura just tosses Hayata. So the finish comes with Inamura hitting that Muso Spiranagi thingamajig. Spiranagi. We're going to go with that. Followed by that little bouncy, fun frog splash onto, I believe it was Sasaki? No, Hayata. For the win. I had so much fun with this match. I have been really enjoying seeing Dempsey and Lewis here. I feel like Inamura is the perfect person to kind of guide them into it, but these two are fitting very well into the Pro Wrestling Noah locker room, and to have matches against people as incredibly talented as Kenta, as incredibly talented as Ulka Sasaki, and incredibly talented as Hayata. These guys are being put in with the absolute best and matching them. and I love and appreciate it so much. This tour is going to do so good, not just for them, but also for Pro Wrestling Noah. WWE is going to hopefully be introduced to some of the superstars like Ulka Sasaki, reintroduced to Kenta to see he's not the breakable thing that he once was thought to be. Introductions to people like HAYATA, and then on top of that, we're going to have even more guys that these guys are going to be introduced to. I'm excited for this tour. I hope they stay longer than Omos, though. I feel like Omos got the short end of the stick. I would like to see these guys there for a couple of months, not just one. But if they left right now, I would consider this a success, just because of how well and consistently that they're fighting with these guys. So, before I ramble too much, that brings us to the end of the show. Did you guys get an opportunity to check out this show and be able to see Dempsey, Lewis, and Inamura take on three of the best superstars that Noah has to offer? Like, hello. Do you guys want to see Sasaki and Dempsey as much as I do? Leave your comments down below. But that being said, don't forget to like the video. Down there. Subscribe to OLE and turn on notifications to be alerted every time we drop a new video. If you want to take in some pro wrestling Noah, you can check him out on Wrestle Universe. It is 13 Canadian, 9 American, an incredible price for some amazing strong style wrestling, because not only do you get Pro Wrestling Noah, you get DDT, you get Tokyo Joshi Pro, you get Marigold, and so many more. 10 companies total. I was paying $11, $12 for New Japan alone, and that's one company. You get all of these extra background, extra content from all of these companies. There's also like little sneak peeks with the wrestlers on top of all of the regular content that you get, and you get that from 10 companies and not just one. How do you say no to that price, you guys? So sign up today, Wrestle Universe. And if you want a daily dose of your Melball, you can catch me on the X thing at Collins Melball. You can catch me on everything else: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, and Blue Sky at Melball Collins. Whew! I sped through that one really quickly, you guys. So, that all being said, I am your Melball. Matane!